Hello, Freedom Nation. It's Jeff here once again with another episode of the Freedom Nation podcast. And on today's show, I've got Abi on. Abi is an expert in land purchases and sales. So he used that as a way of getting out of a job that he was not too enchanted with and decided to do that as a side business and turned it into a full-time business and has completed, if I remember correctly what he said, over 700 sales over the last several years. So stay tuned. We'll be right back on in just 1 second.
All in you. Everything you're looking for, it's all in you. You gotta believe that it's all in you. Everything you're searching for, it's all in.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. Abi, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on. And I can tell you're a podcaster too, because you got the great microphone. So
Yep.
you're not wearing, like iPad ear things and all that type of stuff doing a podcast. So I appreciate
Yep.
the sound quality.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, why don't we kick it off? Tell us your story. How did you get to where you're at today?
So came to the US in 2007 for my grad school. Worked 9 to 5 for 10 plus years, got burnt out. My wife was sort of interested in real estate. I was interested in real estate, but we didn't want to take debt. So we skipped the house flipping, we skipped the apartment flipping, we skipped commercial properties.
No
And
short-term rentals and
yeah. So we stumbled upon land
okay.
because I found out this strategy where you can buy land for like $5,000, $4,000, $6,000
Okay.
in west on the western side of the U.S., Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico. So you can buy this land and you can sell it to people who are interested in buying it for recreational purposes, for storing RVs, for having like a storage shed, or just for like investment or legacy purposes. So there's like a huge number of people in the United States that love buying rural vacant land. And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need to test this. So I sent some letters out, postcards to some owners asking if they're interested in selling. Some of them said yes. I ended up buying 2 properties.
Okay.
I didn't have a website, so I listed it on eBay. At the time, eBay was big, and I sold it in a few months, and I doubled my money.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, so I know this works, but how do I make this? How do I do enough of these deals so I can actually replace my and my wife's salary?
Yeah, the scale up is always the challenge.
Yeah, so that's how it got started. And then we started doing more of these, and then we quickly realized that we have to run it like a business. You have to, I will talk about my book that I wrote. Like in business, there's like only 2 ways you can make money, right? The first way is to do more marketing, acquire more customers. And the second way is to make your existing customers more valuable, right? So for the first couple of years when we were flipping land, our focus was like, all right, how can we do more of it? How can we acquire more customers? Or how can we, get more leads to sell more properties? So it's always like more properties, more sales. And then, we started kind of like burnt out with this model as well, because we're like,
wasn't
okay,
much better than the job you had at that point.
yeah,
Probably
exactly.
less interesting than the job you had.
Yeah, because we calculated our cost to acquiring a customer, and it was like whatever, like $600, $500, and we're like, every time we have to find a new customer, we have to spend this much in ads, and calling leads and responding to email queries, and really the shift or the scaling, kind of like the business took off and started scaling when we realized, when we started putting emphasis on the second part of the equation, which is how do you make your existing customers more valuable? Because like a lot of times you hear this in real estate, you got to do more deals, do bigger deals, buy better properties at cheaper rates. But rarely you're going to hear, oh, why don't you make existing customers more valuable? But how do you make your existing customers more valuable, right? So that was the challenge that we needed to solve.
Okay.
So in land, most people are buying on owner financing, right?
Okay.
These are people on fixed incomes, on social security, on medical benefits, or like VA benefits or pension funds. Like, they have fixed income coming in,
Yeah.
and they like to buy land, this rural land, at $500 down, 500 per month for whatever, however many months.
Mm.
And what we realized was people buying these kind of properties, they don't just buy one. They
Okay.
like collecting, like some people like collecting coins, cards, all those things. There's a decent chunk of population that likes collecting land.
Okay.
We didn't know that. So
Mm.
so we're like, all right, so we need to find those kind of buyers, because then, our cost of acquisition,
Yeah.
acquiring a customer,
Yeah.
CAC,
Well,
will
once
go
you have
down
them the first
significantly.
time, you don't have to. Yeah. Now you just sell to that same person over and over and over again. Great idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So once we started thinking like that, so there was actually two formulas. So this was one of the formulas where, you either spend more on marketing, do more, get more customers, or make them more valuable. So we started putting more emphasis on there. We started building relationships with our existing terms buyers, like the properties we sold on owner financing. We would call them on their birthdays, offer them like discounts. We'll have like monthly check-in calls. Like we'll take care of them if they have a job, they lost it, they need help with some, like few months.
Mm.
We'll cut their payments in half. Like, as long as we kept like had a uh, like a healthy relationship, like, with our customers, they in return, they would, when they bought the next land, they bought it from us, because they're
Okay.
like, well, I
Nice.
already know them, I
Yeah.
like them, and I trust them. So that's when that kind of like thought process went in, and we kind of like switched the business a little bit on the relationship side.
Mm.
Obviously we had to hire more people to do all the additional workload
Yeah.
that comes with maintaining relationships. Like, we have like at any given time, we have like anywhere from 100 to 200 active
Wow.
loans, right? So
Yeah.
that's a lot of people you're maintaining relationship with, so you need
Mhm.
staff. So our staff costs went up, but our sales also went up by a lot.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the first core principle that helped us scale to like 700 plus deals,
Nice.
which I talk about in my book, The Land Business.
Mhm.
And the second principle that was really critical, that was like completely, the first time I heard it, actually the first time I heard it, I didn't understand it. And then after like I encountered it like fifth time, that's when it actually clicked. And it's a very interesting principle, Jeff. I think you're going to like this. Um, so the principle states that the amount of money a business makes is equal to the amount of goodwill you have in the marketplace,
Okay.
multiplied by the number of offers you make to your customers. So
Okay.
let me break that down, what that means, with an example. So say, Jeff, you and I, we live in a small town. We decide to open our respective cafes,
Mhm.
because that's, we're like, oh well, we'll make some extra money. So we have Jeff's cafe and we have Abi's cafe,
Okay.
right? So customers come into our cafes. They go to Jeff. They're like, "All right, Jeff, I would like a small cappuccino." And
Mhm.
Jeff is like, "Well, we have a promotion going on. If you upgrade to a large, you get like a discount, and then you get like a pastry. You can buy a croissant. It's at a discounted rate. These coffee beans just came in from Costa Rica. They're really good. You should take them home. We'll give you a deal, and we have this foam art thing on your latte that you can put on, right? So over course of a conversation, you make them like 5, 6, 7 offers.
Sure.
So that's how you're running your cafe, right?
Yeah.
Then when they come to Abi's cafe, they're like, well, I would like a small cappuccino. I serve it to them. They go home,
Yeah.
right? So every conversation, you're making, say, 7 offers. I'm making 1 offer. And assuming there are, say, 100 customers coming to
Mhm.
Jeff's coffee shop and 100 people coming to Abi's coffee shop, you can imagine at the end of the year, the revenue numbers for Jeff will be ridiculously high
Mhm.
compared to Abi's coffee shop because you made 7 offers per
Yeah.
customer,
Yeah.
right? And it's not like everyone's going to take all the offers, but even half of them did, right?
Mhm.
Or half the offers. My revenue might be $100,000. Your might be 400,
Sure.
right? So going back to the formula, the amount of money a business makes is equal to the amount of goodwill you have in the marketplace. Well, you need goodwill because people are not going to buy if they don't trust you, if they don't like you, if they know Jeff, he's been living in the town for like 20 years, he participates in the community,
Mhm.
he adds value, he has a YouTube channel, right? So you have the goodwill built in the marketplace, and then you make all these offers and people take them,
Yeah.
right? And then you make significantly more
Well,
money
and
in.
it's a numbers game in a lot of cases. I mean, I think of
Yes.
it from, I just literally a few minutes ago, because one of my businesses is, in the wealth management space, and, and Medicare and everything else. And it was funny because, they've changed some of the commission structure around Medicare, and a lot of the Medicare agents are panicking because, it's like, oh my God, my compensation is going to go down. And, I think of it, I'm like, that's just one little aspect. I mean, when we sit down with somebody, it's like, okay, let's talk about your Medicare, but let's talk, do you have final expense insurance? Do you have hospital indemnity? Do you, who manages your wealth for you? So you've got all those things, and not everything is going to hit all at all times,
Yeah.
but it's going to give you that opportunity. So yeah, I totally
Right.
agree. And I can see
Yeah.
where it works in your world too.
Right. So once we understood this concept, we started implementing in our land business. So to build goodwill, we
Mhm.
started doing daily live streams on our YouTube.
Got it.
We'll be like, we're going to do virtual reviews of our properties. Anyone who joins live, if they have a property, we're going to review their property for free,
Cool.
right? Help them out, right? So we started building goodwill like that. My wife wrote a book.
Mm.
I wrote a book. We spent a lot of time building a blog, like a blog company blog, with
Mhm.
valuable information.
Yeah.
We started giving out free consultation calls, right? So we did a ton of effort because once we understood that you need goodwill, you can't
Mm.
just make more offers, you need goodwill to balance out the equation. We went all in,
Yeah.
right? So that's what we did on the goodwill side. On the number of offer side, we started offering a ton more services. So instead of, before first couple of years, we're just offering land. Now we're offering, oh, would you like help with performing a soil percolation test? Would you like help with a survey? Would you like help with fencing your property? Would you
Okay.
like help with
Interesting.
financing? Like if we can offer owner financing, we can give you like multiple options. We can offer you a lower interest rate if you do this. And we have like we build courses, online courses. Would you like to buy an online course with this,
Hmm.
right? Would you need help with consultation, with like due diligence, right? So we had like tons and tons of offers. Obviously we're not going to pitch everything to everyone,
Yeah.
but we at least built this inventory of offers which was completely ready depending on the situation or
Mhm.
what the person what their problem is that they're trying to solve. And that helped us with revenue, that helped us with sustaining the big staff that we were building and helping us scaling for the future.
Yeah.
So so those were the two core principles that really helped us scale from starting from just doing few handful of deals per month to like doing like 700 plus deals in the course of the last 7.5 8 years.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. So let's walk through that a little bit. I mean, yeah, we've talked about how you've scaled on the customer side. Where are you finding the properties? I mean, are you having to do a lot of direct mail, reach out? What's been the most effective way on that side of
Right. So we have three acquisition channels
it?
on how we acquire land. So the first way is participating in county tax auctions.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we will like a lot of online tax auctions. Every now and then we'll participate in person as well. Like last year we went to Arkansas to participate in an in
Yep.
person county tax auction. But most of the time we'll do online because it's more convenient. Florida is pretty much like most of the counties in Florida are online.
Mhm.
So that's our number one channel. The second channel is direct mail. We'll send letters. We That's how we got started when
Mhm.
we first started the business. So we still do that depending on whether we're trying to acquire properties in a particular state. They don't
Okay.
have a lot of tax auctions coming up, so we'll
Nice.
do a direct mail campaign. And the third one is just all these goodwill efforts. We have on our website, we have a get a quote in
Mhm.
2 hours, right? So
Okay.
someone can submit their property they're trying to liquidate,
Mhm.
and we're going to give them a quote. So we get a lot of quotes from there as well, a lot of
Okay.
acquisition leads.
Yeah.
Those are the three main channels. There are other investors who do cold calling, they do texting,
Mhm.
they do like handwritten mail. So there are a ton of options. But in general, in the land space, buying land is relatively easy. It's the sell side,
Yeah.
because it is essentially a commodity, right? Because there are a lot of sellers, right? So that's the major constraint in our business.
Mhm.
How do you stand out, right?
Yeah.
And the way you stand out is by having a ton of goodwill and making creative offers.
Absolutely. Well, and I was wondering if you do tax auctions and stuff like that because, I think so many people try and do tax auctions and tax liens on, actual houses. They're trying to compete for that, and there's always every tax auction I've ever seen. The last thing to go a lot of times is the property, and especially
Mhm.
smaller properties and things like that. They're just people just don't bid on them a lot of times because that's not what a lot of investors are looking for.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it's very interesting that you're doing that. I love that aspect of
Yeah,
it.
and there's a reason, right?
Yeah.
Because land is, as I said earlier, like it's on the disposition side is the
Yeah.
main issue. Because sometimes there's market is hot, you can sell land, you could just list it on the MLS and someone
Mhm.
will buy it.
Sure.
But other times when the market is not hot, like right now,
Mhm.
you can list it on MLS. It's just gonna sit there.
Yeah.
So unless you have your own exclusive channel that you're marketing, like social media, like Facebook,
Mhm.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, like all those channels, unless you are personally marketing, you're not going to be able to generate enough demand
Yeah.
just by listing it on MLS.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And I mean, that the other side of it is, okay, then you've also got to play with, okay, how much is it going to cost me to find that person that's going to buy it? And,
Right.
am I able to
Yeah.
make enough on the sale to do that, with my cost of acquisition? So yeah, that's
Right.
very interesting.
Yeah, so cost to acquire a customer is, yeah, you have to keep that low.
Hmm.
And the way you keep that low is, do a lot of free content,
Okay.
right? Because then the organic leads that you're coming in, they're essentially close to $0, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Because you didn't put any money, you just put your time in,
Yeah.
right? So doing podcasts like this, like if the goal is to sell properties, going on like homesteading podcasts and where people
Hmm.
are actively looking to buy land,
Yep.
doing educational YouTube videos, doing shorts, doing reels, TikTok,
Hmm.
and whatnot. I think that kind of helps a lot. But
Yeah.
obviously, this is once again the main takeaway. If someone is listening to this and they want to get into land, I would say that you have to think of the land business as any traditional business, as
Hmm.
opposed to looking at like a more of a real estate deal style business. Because most of the people, they think of real estate, they think of deals. Oh,
Hmm.
I need to do like 5 deals a month or 5 deals a year to generate this much money, right? So it's always in terms of how much money can I make per deal.
Yeah.
But in our side of business, on the land side, you have to think of it more like a e-commerce, like an Amazon style business where you're selling something online, right?
Okay.
It's literally people can like check out land on our land and then kind of add to cart and then check out from there. At least the initial stage, and then it comes to us. All the contracts and everything are signed online as part of the seamless checkout process, and then we either send it to the title company from there, or if it's owner financing, then we have them set up a orientation call to go over the details.
Okay.
But you have to think of it like some selling something on Amazon as opposed to like a deal based.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, wonderful. How does Or what do you have new in your world going on? I know you said you've got a bunch of different offerings and things like that. What's new in your world?
So we recently, so actually, so this goes into another principle.
Okay.
So I think you're gonna like this as well. Going back to the cafe example, so any big business, if you look at any like the very successful Fortune 500, Fortune 100 businesses, you would realize that any successful business has four types of offers that they make to their customers.
Makes sense.
And if for whatever reason you're not making all four offers, you're leaving money on the table. And a lot of small businesses make this mistake. They would make only one type of offer instead of all four. So
Hmm.
what are those four offers? So the first offer type is it's called an attraction offer. It's essentially an offer like a discount or something free that you give away, almost
Okay.
like a lead magnet, right? Where people you want to attract people to have them come in the door, right? So you're attracting people who otherwise wouldn't come in. So for
Hmm.
example, if we go back to the cafe example, because we've been using this on the show now, so let's keep it congruent.
Yeah.
Say Jeff is doing really well in the coffee shop, right? We're having tons of customers and we're like brainstorming. All right, so how do we, so we did 400K last year. This year we want to do 700K. So how do we increase the revenue? How do we bring in more customers,
Hmm.
right? So one of the ways would be we analyze what are the slow hours for our business? Like when do people don't drink coffee,
Okay.
right? So we look at the analytics of our stores and we say, okay, so between noon and 2, there's not a lot of foot traffic. People are not coming in. So let's put out an attraction offer. We'll put a sign outside our store. We'll say, well, if you buy coffee between 12 and 2 p.m., we'll give you 50% off or something,
Okay.
so attractive that people who otherwise wouldn't come in, right? Not just coffee. We'll be like, well, anything in the store, 50% off as long as you come inside the store between 12 and 2 p.m.,
Hmm.
right? And then all of a sudden, you're attracting customers who otherwise wouldn't come into the store,
Okay.
right? So that's an example of attraction offer.
Hmm.
So how do we use that in land? We do like free land giveaways. So we do like
Interesting.
twice a year, participate in our free land giveaway with the chance to winning free land, and we'll do like a live drawing on
Hmm.
YouTube. We offer like $1 down payments like every now and then. So
Okay.
instead of putting $500 down, you can put $1 down, right? So those creative offers that attract people who otherwise aren't looking to buy
Hmm.
land, right?
Yeah.
Who otherwise who aren't coming to the
Yeah. They
store
weren't ready
to
yet, but now you've got them
exactly.
right at the right
Right.
time. Yeah.
Right. So you will notice a lot of companies use attraction offers. Example would be you know how car rentals, they'll be like, oh, you can rent a car for $9 per day, right?
Hmm.
And they're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, usually you pay like 29, now you can have it for $9. And then
Sure.
you go there and then they do all those upsells and then you end up paying 60, right? so
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
so that's the attraction offer. The next offer type is an upsell offer.
Okay.
So we discussed this already. Upsell, person comes in for coffee, we upsell pastries, we upsell croissants, we upsell art foam, we upsell coffee beans, we
Hmm.
upsell mugs, all sorts of things. So
Yeah.
if you're not upselling, right, you're leaving money on the table. The third type of offer is a downsell offer.
Hmm.
So for example, if they say no to upsell, so for example, if we in the coffee store example, we say, oh, these coffee beans just arrived from Costa Rica.
Hmm.
They're like super specialty brand, this and that is really good. Good reviews, and it's for $49. And they're
Yeah.
like, I'm not really looking to spend $49. That's too much. And
Hmm.
then we can downsell them to like a smaller, like, oh, this was a four
Yeah.
pound thing. Now you can have a 1 pound for like $19, right?
Hmm.
So that's a downsell offer. So a lot of big companies do that. Going back to car rental example, if you say no to, oh yeah, I don't want the premium insurance, they'll
Hmm.
be like, oh, would you like, you don't want the 500 million, you want 250 500 or 100 300,
Hmm.
right? Liability insurance.
Yeah.
So that will be a downsell offer. And the fourth offer type is continuity offer, and that's a big one that
Yeah.
pretty much no one uses in real estate world. Um, memberships,
Okay.
subscriptions, right?
Okay.
So person came to buy coffee. We're like, well, would you like to become a member of our coffee club?
Mhm.
And it's $29 per month, and you get discounts, you get free newsletters, you get access to our events, after party events in on the
Mhm.
coffee shop.
Yeah.
You get this, you get that, right? You get coupons in the mail. So you want that continuity offer because that increases your MRR, monthly
Mhm.
recurring revenue, right? And then you want to keep building that so you can redeploy the capital in improving the service. So how do we use that in land, right? We have give them same concept. We'll be like, oh, would you like to join our freedom membership club?
Okay.
You get 25% off closing costs. You get early access to our inventory. You get concierge support, you get this, you get that, right? So we have like a whole offers, like the stack of features you get
Mhm.
as part of being a member. And then they pay monthly, for hopefully forever.
Yeah.
And they buy more properties, right?
Okay.
So those are the four offer types. So that's something you asked, what's new. So that's what we recently started, relatively recently. I mean, it's been a year now.
Mhm.
We implemented this, and it's been working. Like people
Okay.
people were like, oh yeah, I've never heard of a land membership club.
Yeah.
I love it. I want all those features,
Yeah.
right? So stuff like that, it's working really well. And I encourage anyone listening, even though you're not part of the land business, whatever business you're running, I would heavily encourage to use all those four offer types, to maximize your revenue.
Mhm. That's fantastic. I love that. Well, and like I said, I hadn't heard about anything like that, especially in the land business or anything in real estate. So I
Yeah.
think very unique way. How would you, we gave the example in the coffee shop. How do you like do a downsell in real estate? How would you do a
Hmm.
downsell in real
Yeah.
estate?
So the way we do downsell is if someone buys, say, 5 acre in Elko County, Nevada, five
Okay.
acre parcel, we were like, well, you just bought 5 acres. Would you like to buy? We just have this 10 acre lot just came in. Would you
Okay.
like to upgrade to a 10 acre lot? It's
Yeah.
literally like on the same street, and we can give you a good deal. And they were like, nah, I'm fine with my 5 acre. And then we'll be like, all right, that's fine. And then we're like, oh well, we also have this 1 acre lot which is like right behind you. Would you like
Mhm.
that one?
Yeah.
That's much cheaper. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, that's cool. So that's an extra acre, like adjacent to my parcel. That's cool, right?
Yeah.
So you basically start with a higher offer, and if they say
Mhm.
no to it, you offer them something lower
Makes
value.
sense. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes complete sense, and it's typically the way you do it in e-commerce. I mean, what you're
Exactly.
doing, all those
Right.
steps. I mean, I think back to my you know click funnels and everything else. I mean, it's all the strategies you're using um,
Yeah.
from Russell Brunson and stuff like that. I mean,
Exactly.
just all those
Yeah.
techniques. Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's all coming from Russell Brunson,
Mm,
Alex Hormozy,
yep.
Frank Kern, all those OGs in
Yeah.
the digital market space, right?
Sure.
And it's just that people don't think of those things, right? I have a podcast where I talk to business owners. By the way, you should come to
I
my
would love to.
podcast, but
Love to.
but it's different. So it's
Okay.
not an interview podcast, it's more of a strategy session.
Okay.
So we talk about like what are the business challenges you're facing right now, how you're thinking of solving them. So it's more of
Mm,
a strategy.
yeah.
And wait, I totally forgot. Why did I bring that up? What was the question? Sorry. Oh my god, I totally forgot.
I don't even remember now. Yeah, we were just going on. I was with you, man. We were just going there. It just keep going. Don't worry what the question was.
um yeah, so I had this person I just interviewed,
Hmm.
and he had a landscaping business.
Okay.
And so I told him about the four offer types and how he should be doing upsells and downsells and all these things. And he's like, huh, how would you do it in a landscaping business? So he's like,
Mhm.
give me ideas on how you do it in the landscaping business. So I said, well, so if someone comes in and they want, like, they have a budget for $5,000 and they want to redo their backyard. So right now you're giving them, this is how it looks like for 5,000. This is what I can do.
Hmm.
But you can give them like two more options.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I can do for 5K. But then if you're willing to spend just a few more $1,000, I can do this. And if you're feeling crazy, like just a tiny bit crazy, for 12K, I can do this, right?
Yeah.
So now you give them 2 more upsell offers right then and there. And the guy is like, "Oh, that's what an upsell is? I'm
Yeah.
already doing that."
Ah, that's
And I
awesome.
was like, "Yeah, so you. That's the reason why you're so successful, because you're using all
Yeah.
4."
You
So
blundered into it, didn't even know that you were doing it, but yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I
So
love it.
yeah, so the point I'm trying to make is like a lot of, so yeah, I remember now why I brought it up.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Russell Brunson and
Yeah.
all the digital marketers, OGs, right?
Hmm.
So these are the concepts that don't just apply to
Yeah.
online sales. They apply to pretty much every business. And it's just that no one before has thought through those things,
Correct.
right? And applied them in the real estate business or landscaping business, right?
Mhm.
They don't think of them in the same terms. Like I described it to him as an upsell offer, and he always thought of it as like more options to give to customers. So he didn't
Mhm.
think in terms of offers, right? So if we can normalize the terminology across different businesses, you would see pretty much every business is doing those 4 types,
Yeah.
right? Even doing cross sell. I was talking to another business owner. He's like, "Oh well, so you're missing cross sell." Well, it's
Mm.
it's another type of upsell, right? So we
Yeah.
just chunked it up to like 4 high level types. So yeah, so if you're a business owner, you're listening to this, you should be applying all 4 to maximize the revenue and profit.
That's fantastic. I love it. Well, fantastic, Avi. Let's transition to the fast 5 questions now.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So, first question: you wake up in the morning, business is gone. You have $500 in your pocket, a laptop, computer, place to live and stay, food and clothing. What do you do first?
Well, if I only have $500, I would like reach out to my contacts, reach out to existing relationships
Okay.
that I've built, and uh, you know, try to raise capital so I can restart the business.
Okay.
That's
Cool.
what I would do.
What's the number that you would say to get enough capital to get the business off and running? What would that number be?
Um, so it depends on the goals. So
Yeah.
some people, they just want like a side income, right?
Mhm.
So it can be a lower number, and if you're looking to replace your full time salary, then also it depends on the salary. So assuming it's like $100,000, I always say at least like 50% of what you're trying to replace. So at
Got
least
it.
$50,000.
Mhm.
To so you have enough inventory, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're gonna buy these properties, right? And then if you run out of capital, then or the only thing you can do is sell them, and
Mhm.
then you have to wait to
Yep.
sell them, and that's where you're delaying the snowball effect. You
Mhm.
you never want to wait. You always want to be buying and selling at the same time.
Correct. Yeah, you need to get
Yeah.
that momentum going,
Right.
and then it starts to build on itself at that point.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest mistake like a lot of beginners make. They'll be
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I'm going to buy these property," because they don't have conviction
Yep.
in the process and the business yet. So they'll be like, "All right, I'm going to buy 10 properties. I'm just going to wait until all 10 of them sell."
Yeah.
And it's like, "Okay, you can do that, but then you're losing all this valuable time."
Mhm.
Uh but what if you buy 5 and start the selling process, start building goodwill in the marketplace, start the ads, and then as soon as it sells, you also have the acquisition machine going, and
Mhm.
then your sales also going at the same time.
Yeah.
That's when the magic happens.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Have you ever partnered with anybody? Maybe somebody that's had money and you have the knowledge. Have you done
Yeah,
partnership deals?
yeah. When we do like big deals, sometimes we'll run into like buy for 75K, sell
Mhm.
for like 120.
Yep.
And that's like outside our buy box because we
Mhm.
want to preserve our capital. That's when we'll go to like outside investors and say, well, you want to fund this and we'll split the profits kind of
Yep.
thing. So every now and then when the opportunity arises, I do that.
Yeah. Makes sense. Um, so what's the biggest business mistake you've ever made?
Um, so this is a funny story. When we were doing um direct mail campaigns, we would send out letters, and people would respond. So one time we did a direct mail campaign in West Virginia,
Mhm.
and a lawyer owned a property, a 4-acre property. So he responded. So we usually, go back and forth on the price. We'll try like a low ball offer. They will
Mhm.
come with a high ball, and we'll like meet in the middle somewhere in the medium ball, right? So
Yeah.
that's usually how we would acquire properties. So we'll always start with a low offer because we want to anchor like a low price. Like the whole helps us with the negotiation.
Mm.
So this was a property worth like around 20K. We offered 4K, and we thought, we're gonna land somewhere near 10. And to our surprise, he accepted. He was like, "Yeah, that's fine. You can have it for 4K." And I was like, "Huh? There's something
Wait
wrong
a
with this
minute.
property. We just don't know what's wrong. We're gonna figure this out. We have done like 100 deals by now. At that time, we're like, we'll figure it out. We were
Yeah.
like very confident. So we checked for wetlands. We checked for environmental contamination. We looked at the title history. We looked at the access issues. We looked at concerning neighbors. We like pretty much spent like a ton of time trying to figure out what's wrong with it, and there was nothing. We couldn't find anything wrong with it. So it's like, huh, maybe he's just tired of paying taxes. He just wants to get rid of it. I was like, all right, fine, we'll buy it. So we bought it as quickly as possible. It was like, all right, this is a really good deal, right? We're
Yeah.
gonna like 5x our money. Um, and then after we bought it, a month later, we got a letter from the county. And they said, well, the parcel that you just bought does not exist. Well, what do you mean it does not exist? We can see it in the county GIS map. It's a 4-acre parcel with like nice big boundaries. What do you mean it does not exist? Yeah, that parcel, we have been talking to the previous owner for the last 6 months. So we found out, so our auditor, like internal auditor, found out that it was surveyed in like the 1960s, 1970s. So
Okay.
the surveyor made a mistake. So instead of east, he looked at west of the river or whatever. So we actually bought the property, like a neighboring property,
uh,
which actually had a house on it, and they have been living there for like forever. So there's absolutely zero way we can like force them out
yeah.
or try to like do adverse possession or whatever. So there is like we talk to lawyers. There's like, yeah, there's zero chance you have any claim on anything. Just take the loss and
Yeah.
and focus on the
Just
next deal.
go. Yeah. You don't want
Yeah.
to spend any more money on this mess at this
Right.
point.
Right. And it's surprising because you think a lawyer would do the right thing and
Yep.
tell us there's an ongoing issue. But
Yeah.
he's like, nope, just take it. I don't want it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the
Not
biggest mistake.
not saying the lawyer, yeah, not saying all lawyers are completely above board when it comes to this. Yeah, just get it out because I don't want to have to deal with this thing anymore. So
Yeah. And we're not gonna sue a lawyer. Like
yeah,
that makes no
yeah,
sense.
you're gonna. Well, and like, you just keep your losses at the 5 grand and be done at that
Yeah,
point. So
yeah, yeah,
why take any more blood at that? What's a good
yeah.
book that
That
you? Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say that was like because it was a complete loss.
Yeah.
There are some properties we had to take a loss, like because we missed something.
Mm,
But this was like a write off. Like we
yeah,
had never done a complete write off before,
sure.
so that was the biggest one.
Yeah, that's hilarious. What's a good book that you'd recommend for our audience?
You mean apart from mine?
Well, of course, we'll talk about yours at the end.
um, I mean, I have learned a lot from the Alex Hormozy books,
Okay.
the 100 million series, and
Mhm.
Russell Brunson books are really good. The Secrets book,
Mhm.
Traffic Secrets and whatnot.
Yeah.
So those are the series I would recommend because they've been doing it for so long and they clearly are successful. So
Yeah.
that's why I always try to like replicate past success and see how we can apply it in the land business.
Well, and the funny part is that, Alex learned from he was
Russell.
yeah, he learned from Russell. So you see a lot of those common trends and stuff like
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah,
And Russell learned from,
yeah, I
I
mean, Russell
forgetting
learned
that.
from so many people. I mean, I don't
Right.
know anybody that has done as much research into marketing as Russell has done. I mean, he's
Yeah.
like a gigantic sponge of information. But yeah, I mean, Alex then took what Russell did and said, okay, well, now let me twist it around, to
Yeah.
my business and other people's businesses and things like that. So yeah, I mean, everybody
Yeah.
learns from everybody.
Yeah.
That yeah, I totally agree. I mean, all of the $100 million books, that was probably my biggest win of last year. They
Yeah.
they were the biggest change and adaptation for my business
Yeah.
as a
I mean,
result of that.
you can imagine like the how grateful we are like living in this age, right, where
Oh,
this valuable information, you just literally get it for free, right?
yep,
Just imagine starting a business 50 years ago, right, and
yep,
lacking, if you didn't even know what an upsell offer was, what a downsell was, what an
yeah,
attraction was, what a continuity, you'll be like doing like one deal per day. Like it'll
yeah,
be ridiculously hard to scale a business, right?
yeah,
So you have this readily available information, you have the whole cloud infrastructure, you run servers on the cloud for like
mhm,
literally $5 a month.
yeah,
You have this AI boom going on. It's just literally like some people book calls with me for like my mentorship, and I
yep,
tell them like this is 2026 is literally the easiest year to get to seven figures at the
uh-huh,
very least, right?
yeah,
But it's also the easiest year to be distracted,
yes, because
right?
there's too
Because
much
they're like,
stuff. Yeah,
there's just so much going on. Like
yeah,
just like you just like go on X, you go on Twitter, you go on YouTube,
mhm,
you go on TV. It's just everyone is like trying to grab your attention,
yeah,
right? These crazy thumbnails, crazy story headlines, right? So it's so easy to get distracted. But if just magically, if you can turn this off, right? If you just say, all right, no TV, no internet, like no social media, just focus on producing social
yeah,
media, not consuming, right? If you can just somehow turn all the distractions off, just focus on your business goals, you can, it's so easy to crush, right?
yeah,
Literally, that my book, right, the land business, like we wrote my wife wrote a book. It took us like 2 months just to edit it.
yep,
She wrote the first draft,
mhm,
and then we have to, like, it's 500 pages. You have to read
mhm,
every single word again, edit it. Then I read it. Then we hired an editor to edit it.
sure,
Literally, that 2 month, I was able to do it within like few hours with
yeah,
like AI, right? Because you
yeah,
like, oh, this is missing. There's a spelling mistake. This
yeah.
this grammatically incorrect, right? Literally in few hours. So we're living in an age where like it's so easy to be successful, yet so easy to
So
be
easy to be shy.
distracted.
Yeah, I mean, I've written 17 books, but I had one last week, and I needed to get this to market as quickly as possible because it's a major issue that in my world dealing with retirees, they're getting scammed like crazy with all these you know Bitcoin scams and crypto scams and stuff like that. And I had a good friend get scammed, and she wanted to get the word out, and I said, well, the one of the ways to get a book together. And so as
Mm,
easy as getting the concept together, using Claude, and then turning around, and I did an interview with her. We uploaded that into that, and it created this incredible story for a book, and I had it done in 2 days. And
yeah.
now it's just quickly editing it and getting ready to put it out on Amazon, because I'm like, we need to get this work out quick.
Mm. Oh, you
So,
said
but
you have 18 books?
yeah, 18 books with
How
this
do you
one
get
coming out.
reviews? How do you get reviews?
Man, it's a complex. Well, I don't think it's complex. It's just it's a lot of work. So I learned how to utilize a couple different services to get reviews. So there's some services where you can do blind reviews with other people. So I
Yeah,
review your
yeah.
book, and then
Right,
somebody else reviews my book, and stuff like that. And so
right.
you know,
So,
getting to 100, that's the key. Once you get to 100, it
yeah,
kind of builds on itself.
right. So you use Puppy, get authentic reviews,
Yeah,
get books reviewed.
Book Blaze is another great one. I
Yeah,
Book Blaze is probably the most consistent now. Pubby used to be great, and it's fallen apart.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
there's just nobody on there. I guess I don't know who's the readers on there anymore, but I put a book out that's more of a finance book, and or a business book, and I can't get anybody to read the dang things.
yeah,
Whereas I'll read anybody's book. I don't care. I mean, it
yeah.
honestly, it's helped me to find guests for my shows and everything else as a
Right.
result of it. But yeah, I mean, I use those services. I did learn that I needed to build up an audience of readers, basically.
Yeah,
So I always make sure in my books there's a page that just says, hey, if you enjoyed this book and you like others like this, go to this website, sign up, and then as I have a new book come out, I'll send you the advanced reading copies of
right.
it.
Email list. Okay.
Yeah.
So Book Plays is your number one right now?
Book Blaze is
Recommendation?
probably the best. I think Get Authentic Reviews is pretty good too. But
Okay.
some of those, I can do them faster because I read exceptionally fast. So I'm
Right.
able to read really fast with, and be able to do enough reviews that I can get enough on my side of it. But yeah,
Right.
it's just work, and you just got
Yeah.
to work at it. And like I said, build an email list, which, once you get a whole bunch of emails, it's really easy to go, hey, here's the next book. If you want a copy of it, if you're willing to review it, I'll send you an advanced reader copy.
Yeah. What about Amazon ads? Do you think those help?
I have not mastered Amazon ads. Every time I've used Amazon ads, and I followed, I bought a course on how to, publish and everything else, and followed everything to a T. And I end up losing money every time I do Amazon ads. I mean, it
Mm.
it doesn't ever seem like I always end up like double the cost to, for what I can sell it
Uh,
for. And I'm like, no, I'm not. It's not a scalable model at that point. I mean, if I
yeah.
had
Yeah.
unlimited amounts of money, I guess I could lose, half of that money
Right.
in
Right.
trying to do it. But I've just not really had super success with Amazon
Hmm.
ads at all.
Did you try raising your book price?
Oh yeah, well yeah, of course. But you're trying to get it going at the beginning. Yeah, you can raise the book price to get it there, but you hit a certain limit at points.
Yeah.
Now I will say I've had more luck using Facebook ads. I
Hmm.
bought another course on Facebook ads, and that worked actually a lot better than Amazon. I was at least able to, I put $1 in and get $1.50 out of it. So then it was at least
Hmm.
scalable at that point.
Were you able to scale it?
Yeah. Yeah, I was
Okay.
able to scale the books on that point, but yeah, just Amazon ads. I've just never been good, or I've never been able to successfully get those to work.
Hmm.
And like I said, I've gone back over the coursework on this. The guy that does the stuff in the program I had, this is what he does, and he does it for other people. But I'm like, I just have not figured out how
Hmm.
to scale it correctly on Amazon without losing my shirt.
Yeah.
And they'll just eat you alive. I mean, they'll just keep slamming your credit card until you turn around and you're like, holy crap, I just
Yeah.
lost I just lost a
Yeah.
couple $1,000 and I made 700. Wait a minute, what's wrong here? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also like doing the Goodreads
Okay.
giveaways.
Yeah, yeah.
So that should build reviews on Goodreads at the very least, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like with Book Blaze, you can say, hey, I want a review on Amazon and Goodreads at that
Hmm.
point.
Okay.
Which is kind of good because the Goodreads people tend to be a little bit more um, vicious. I will just put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
a little bit more like, okay, you didn't grammatically do this correctly, and
Yeah.
we aren't going to hammer you at that
Yeah.
point. But
They're like Reddit audience, right? They're
yeah,
like
exactly.
brutal.
Reddit's the same thing. Yeah. But I think most people aren't, very few people I think go to Goodreads and then go, oh, I'm going to buy this book. I mean, I think they go on there. I think it's more authors than it is actual people that buy stuff. I
Yeah.
think Amazon's where people buy stuff, and that's really
Yeah.
where you want to have the best reviews there, at that
Yeah.
point.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah.
All
Thanks
right,
for the
man.
tips. Yeah,
Well,
I'll look into it.
if somebody's interested in learning more about the book or you or the land purchase stuff, where's the best place to go?
Right. So the book's called The Land Business.
Okay.
You can check it out on Amazon.com as we were just
Just
discussing.
ordered it, by the way. So
Oh, thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, please let me know. Yeah,
yeah,
what do you think?
I love it.
Um, and I also have a mentorship that I do on the side. It's called honestwealthbuilders.com.
Okay.
I offer like free consultations, even if you're not looking for like to get into land. I can at least give you some ideas on
Yeah.
how it works and answer questions.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much. And we'll make sure we put that into the show notes page. So,
Yeah.
folks, thank you for joining us. Make sure you reach out to Abi if you're interested. Get the book. You can get it as a Kindle. I just got it as a Kindle because I don't want more books around the house, unfortunately. As much as I love books, I don't want them around the house. So I can hide them in my Kindle away from my wife at this point. So. So thanks a lot. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you back here the very next time.
All in you.